Good morning, afternoon, evening. Well, anyways, I'm Sky, and I'm here to educate you about words. Now, every word is made up of these things we call letters, right? And each letter forms a sound. This has basically been true since people could write and create proper language and whatnot. The more you think about it, each word is really just made up of a grouping of sounds which provide definition that we as humans use to explain ourselves, our thoughts, blah blah blah, we all get the gist of that. The more you think about it, though, how much time has really been put into each unique word? Like, each of these words have such a major value, and I think that many of these unique words have been taken for granted for far too long. As someone who reads a lot of books and really values these words, I really enjoy hearing, as I like to call, a really quote-unquote good word. Some of my favorites are shenanigans, miscellaneous, chateau, etc. Yes, the word etc. But that's besides the point I'm trying to get at. While any given person may have their preference in words, I think that all of these words are undervalued and underappreciated. Take, for example, the word facade, another one of my personal favorites. This word, while it is very unique and rather unused compared to more common words such as the or it, has one of my favorite definitions of word ever. The front of a building. Well, that's just its first definition. The better of the two is definitely the latter in my opinion, which is a false, superficial, or artificial appearance or effect. That's not the only thing, though. This word also just sounds so pleasant to the ears, and to say, facade. Facade, does it not sound amazing? Maybe it's just me, I don't know. But I think it sounds amazing and has a wonderfully unique and excellent definition. Any word could be your favorite. Personally, I like for it to fall within one of three categories. It either has to have a unique or exceptional definition, it has to sound funny, such as pettifogging, or it has to sound pleasing to the ears, such as chateau or euphoria. I also believe that words are undervalued since so many of them have wonderful or unique stories behind them. Again, taking the word facade, it just sounds so good. But it's traveled through Italian, French, and made its way into English through hundreds of years, and over time, it's even developed a figurative meaning in English. Also being used as a deceptive outward appearance, one of my favorite ways to use the word personally. If you really think about it for more than a second, though, any given word is just these sounds that we make with our mouth and throat vibrations, teeth, all coagulating together, another good word, to form our everyday speech. Okay, I'm getting a wee bit ahead of myself here. Yes, while these are all statements about words, I still haven't really fully explained what I mean with all this. Allegedly, according to scientists, some of the first fully developed spoken languages may have emerged between 50,000 and 200,000 years ago. Now, I know that we know virtually nothing about these languages besides the fact that they maybe existed, but they're the birth of the modern human in a sense. Without these languages, as ancient as they are, we may not have modern society without them. These different languages, over tens of thousands of years, developed into the first written language, which emerged in ancient Mesopotamia. As the beginnings of ancient civilization began to form within Mesopotamia, these same countries were not only developing alongside the first written languages, but they were the creators of these first languages. Each of these words, though, whether it be in any language, has either hundreds, if not thousands of years of history, with much of modern English, Italian, and Spanish being traceable back to ancient Rome and Latin, with some roots even being traceable back to ancient Greece. The same thing is possible for virtually any language across the world, whether it be Japanese, Russian, Urdu, etc., etc. Any of these languages has so much history behind them, specifically their words, and I think that can be undervalued. Think about what our society would be without words. Well, there wouldn't be one. If there weren't words, people couldn't communicate, we couldn't record history, we couldn't do virtually much more than hunt and gather like most animals. This rather unimpressive form of communication could be the single greatest separator between us being humans and animals. Although animals can communicate in very limited ways, whether through pheromones like some bugs or sounds like dolphins, I really doubt any of them can come even remotely close to us in terms of language. So much of this stems from this vocabulary that we, as various civilizations, have developed through hundreds or thousands of years, whether it be a simple word such as hello or a complex one like unequivocally. Words have also been how we've created some of the most beautiful pieces of art, whether that be literature or music. Now, I could waffle on for about my preference of books or music for hours and hours and hours, but this isn't about those things. As consequential as words are, that was a bit awkward, to those pieces of art, I'm just talking about words, not music or literature. You probably do realize it, but you use words literally every day. Just speaking to your colleagues or people around you, you can speak anywhere from 6,000 to 12,000 words a day. Now, I'm not a scientist or anything, but I believe that speaking that many words means they have to be somewhat useful. The point I'm getting at through all this is you should value words. I know that they are probably the easiest thing to take for granted in the entire world, and I get that, but maybe if you see some word you don't know, look it up. Maybe you could find your new favorite word. One easy way to do this is to look at a thesaurus and dictionary to find words. Yeah, reading the dictionary, so fun. Okay, no, I'm just kidding. You don't have to read the dictionary to find a good word, but if you wanted to, each page of the dictionary contains so many words that you've probably never even heard of. Maybe it's just me, but I have a feeling that so many different musical artists around the world do their research on these unique words. One example that I always think of is Lin-Manuel Miranda's musical Hamilton. That musical, it's probably my second favorite musical, has some of the best vocabulary words that, while I don't have a great use for or often forget to use in simple conversation, I do value so many of these words very highly because of how amazing so many of the songs are in that musical. I don't know, maybe being able to speak to your friends is something that we should take for granted, but I try to, if I can remember, I try to keep on learning these unique words, because so many of them have rich histories of their own, and each one deserves to be talked about as much as any other. So, if you're still somehow listening, go and find a few new words. Each of them have such a unique history, I'm sure you'll learn something which you, or someone you know, will find interesting. Anyways, thanks for listening in, and tell me what your favorite word down is in the comments below. Goodbye for now.